In this lecture we will download and install VirtualBox, and also we will download the Linux Ubuntu ISO image. Let's get started. I will go to my browser and search for VirtualBox download and go to the Oracle VirtualBox website at the downloads part. And here I will choose my platform. In my case it's Windows. You can choose OS X if you have this platform or other platforms. I will click Windows host and the installer will download. Once it downloaded, I will open it. And I'm now in the setup of VirtualBox. I will just click next. I will not change anything. Click next. I will remove all this. I don't want this except the start menu. Click on next. And now we have a small warning about network interference. I will just click OK. And click install button, and VirtualBox will install. I will pause the video and resume once it is installed. VirtualBox installed, and I will open it. And this is how it looks. I already have installed some virtual machines on Ubuntu, and this is what we will do next. We will next need an Ubuntu ISO image, so I will again go to my browser and search for Ubuntu download, just like that, and go to the official site of Ubuntu and make sure to select the desktop version. This is what we want. And also, very important, make sure that you download a version which ends with LTS, which stands for long time support. This is what you want: Ubuntu desktop and LTS. I will download it. Pause the video and resume when it stopped. So the Ubuntu image finished downloading. We also have installed VirtualBox Manager. We are ready to set up our virtual machine in the next lecture. In this lecture we will create a new virtual machine and install Linux Ubuntu on it. Let's get started. I will go to my VirtualBox Manager, and here I will have the new button, and this will create a new operating system. I will give it a name. Let's just say VSC VM, just like that. And I will select the type, which is Linux, and the version. It should be Ubuntu 64 bits. 32 bits nobody uses anymore. Click on next. Here we need to allocate the RAM for this machine. Usually we can allocate until a third of our RAM, so I will easily be able to give it 6 gigabytes of RAM. You can give it less if you want. Click on next. Here we need to it is recommended to create a new virtual hard disk. This will make the installation a lot easier and safer. I will just click create a virtual hard disk now. I will create it, a VDI. Okay. It will be dynamically allocated, which means that it will grow once the system grows. Very good. And we will give it a size, 10 gigabytes, it's enough for the moment, and click on create. And this way we have our virtual machine. Now we need to install a operating system on it. And please observe what options we have for a virtual machine. If you look here, we can start it or pause it or reset it or close it, just like a real machine. And first of all, we need to mount the ISO we downloaded from the internet, the Ubuntu. So I will go to storage, and the controller IDE. Here we will add our image. So I will select this, choose virtual optical disk file. If you don't see it here, I will just choose it. And I will go to my downloads where I downloaded our ISO, open it and click OK. And now we can start it. And here we enter a familiar screen, the Ubuntu setup screen. It will take a few moments. And we ended up in the setup of Ubuntu. Either we can try it or install it. Of course, we want to install it, so I will click install. I will leave the keyboard as it is in English. I will choose normal installation. I will also install third-party software and also the updates while installing Ubuntu. Click continue. And this step is very important, and in case we wouldn't do it on a virtual machine, it would be very dangerous if we are not specialists. So in this case we will choose erase disk and install Ubuntu, and of course this refers to our virtual machine disk. I can show it to you. So in our VirtualBox I can open it, and now you can see it's in state running. I can open it to show it in Explorer and see its contents. And this is what will be formatted. You have nothing to fear. Nothing will happen to your host computer. We will just work with our virtual one. So I will click erase disk and install Ubuntu and select install now. Click continue. Select the time zone, and I will give it my name and credentials. I will choose a password. Make sure to remember it, of course. I will select login automatically and click continue. And now the installation will proceed. I will pause the video and resume it when it is finished. My installation is complete. It tells me to restart, so I will restart it. So it restarted, and now I'm ready to use Ubuntu. We still have some important configuration to do, and we will do them in the next lecture. We have installed our virtual machine, and it is kind of small. Let's make it bigger. So I will try to maximize it, but it will still remain small. Of course, it is very hard to use a so low scale virtual machine. VirtualBox comes with a solution for this, and in the view mode we should be able to allow seamless mode, but for some reason it is grayed out in our installation. That is because we need the guest additions image, and this is what we will fix in this lecture. So I will go to my installation, login. And now in my VirtualBox I will go to devices and install guest additions CD image. This means that like a CD has been inserted in our virtual machine, which contains some important software. I can click on run. If you don't want to do it like this, we can open this, open in a new tab, and click run software. I need to provide the password. And things are looking a little better now. I'm able to see the window on my full screen, but the performance is very bad, so there's still one more error that I need to fix. Because here it says that this system is currently not set up to build kernel modules, and says please install the ZCC make Perl packages. Let's do this. So I will close this terminal, I will close this window, and I will open a new terminal here and give the command sudo apt get update. We need to provide the password every time we use sudo. In the next lecture we will have a special lecture discussing Ubuntu and Linux commands. I will provide my password now. And we also need to provide a longer command which will install the ZCC make pearls that it is missing. I can copy this, but here in the terminal it won't work. It won't work because we need to allow this option in our virtual machine. I will go to settings in our VirtualBox manager, go to settings, and in the general advanced I will select shared clipboard and select bidirectional, and this way we can copy paste text between the host and the guest images. Click OK. It should work now, hopefully. Otherwise I will restart the machine. I have restarted the machine, and now I'll again open a terminal and paste our command. This time it works, and click enter, provide the password. We want to continue, so I'll click enter. I will close this terminal and run our guest additions again. And this time it should work. The guest additions installed correctly now, and I will still need to restart one more time our VM. I will do this now. And now our virtual machine works much better. It is and it is ready to use. One final note: if you are unable to use these VirtualBox guest additions to mount them on your virtual machine, you can always get them in the terminal with this command: install VirtualBox guest additions ISO. These commands will be as resource for this lecture. Sometimes we will want to share files between our guest operating system and our host operating system. Let's do this in this lecture. Let's set up this. So I will create on my computer a folder which will be shared with our virtual machine. So here I will create a new folder, call it, and the name of the virtual machine. You can put anything you want here. Okay, I have the folder. Now in VirtualBox we will go to settings and select shared folders, machine folders, add new one, and I will go to other folder path and select our folder. I will check auto mount and click OK. Click OK, and let's start our virtual machine to see how this is working. And in the meantime, let's create a file in our folder. So I'll create here a new text document. I will call it hello and add something here. Now you see here we have our folder. I can open it. I need to authenticate, and I can see the file, but if I want to open it, I will see it and I can open it. And sometimes you will not be able to open it because your user will not have the rights. If this is the case, what can you do? Of course, we can start a terminal and find out what user is currently using this computer. With the command who am I, it will give us our username, and then we can just say sudo add user, our username, in my case Shefu, and then say vbox sf, provide the password. Now if we restart, you should be able to also open your shared folder and see its contents. So we have our virtual machine nice and running. As you can see in the view input, we have lots of commands which all start with host and different letters. We are interested especially in the full screen mode. But what is the host key? For this we can go to our VirtualBox manager and go to File, Preferences and Input, and see here we can see what is our host key. In my case and in most cases it will be the right control. Now that we know this, we can go back to our virtual machine and press right control and F, and it will go full screen. This works very nice when you have multiple displays. On one display you can have one operating system, on the other you can have this guest operating system. I usually don't like at all this this small line here, this input here. Let's remove it. It is very simple. I will close this, shut it down, and again go to VirtualBox at the settings of our virtual machine, and in the user interface I can deselect this show in full screen seamless. Click OK and start our machine. And as you can see, now it is full screen on all my monitor. It takes all the space and I can work with all this space. If I want to return back to my computer, all I need to do is press Ctrl F, and it will be a window again which I can minimize and go back to my computer. This works very fine. So working with Ubuntu is very fun and very nice, and as we are beginners we like to experiment with a lot of things, but sometimes things just might go wrong and we might break up something. It is very good to have a backup in plan, and this is what we will do in this lecture. We will create a new virtual image operating system from the existing one. So in case something bad happens with this one, we have the backup. And let's stop this image and go to VirtualBox, and I select our operating system and clone. Just like that, we can keep the disk names and include the network adapter MAC addresses. Click on next. A full clone we want. This will take some time, and now we have our clone. Let's try it. So it logged in. We already have access to our shared folder. Everything works exactly the same, but in a copy, so if something goes wrong we always have this copy and everything will be right. So we have a nice installation of Linux Ubuntu. Let's use it to learn some Ubuntu basic commands. For this we will first need to open a terminal. Until now we did it by right click and open terminal. We can also go to activities and search for terminal, and we can start a terminal. Here, as you may see, we have the username and machine and the name of our machine, and what commands did we use until now in this course. We use the sudo, which stands for super user do. We used it to execute commands as a super user, like installing. Also we used apt get. when we installed this CCC Perl changes in order to be able to install our guest additions. And we also used until now the command who am I. It shows us our username. Let's use other commands. And one very simple command is the ls command. And this ls command will show us the files of the directory we are currently in. We can also open this directory with the file manager. And as you can see, the contents are exactly the same. Here I can also make it to show hidden files by going here and show also hidden files. This can also be done with ls. I can type ls and space -a, and it will also list our hidden files. Now that I'm here, I can also use the clear, and it will clear our terminal. And let's ls one more time. And the next command that I want to talk about is the cd command, the change command directory. For example, we can go cd and select a folder, for example pictures. And one quick tip: if I press tab now, it will automatically select the name if it is unique. I can press enter here, and I'm now currently in the pictures folder. I can ls it. You can see it is empty. I can go back to our previous folder by pressing cd space and 2 dots, and we are back in our base home folder. I can still go ls and show our contents. Let's use another command. I will clear. I can use the command touch. I will call it touch, and this command creates files, and I can say abc.txt, and if we look now in our home directory here, you can see our file. It is right here, created from the command line. Of course, if we can create a file, we can also remove it. So I can also remove with the rm and the name of the file, abc.txt. And this command removed our file. Another quick tip that helps us run commands is the arrows. We can select last commands by using the arrows. So now I'm using the arrows, and I can recall the touch command. Let's edit this file and add some text here. I will just paste some sample text. I will save it, and now we can open it with the vi command. I will clear again and call vi and abc.txt, and as you can see now, our the content of our file is opened directly in our editor, and I can even edit it from here. And in order to exit vi, I need to press escape and column and X, and it's WQ. Okay, and now if I open our file again, you can see it is edited from the VI editor. These were just a few Linux commands. Hopefully they will help you in your programming career. So our installation of Ubuntu looks very nice. It is a distribution based on Lux mostly, and yes, it looks very good. But the problem is that these looks sometimes can come with the cost of performance. So if you don't run this natively, if you run it on a virtual machine like we do now, then the performance may not be so good. It may work very good only if you have like a very powerful computer or a powerful computer. But did you know that there are other distributions of Linux, other flavors of Linux which are not based on looks but are based more on performance? So currently we are using the Ubuntu GNOME. This interface is called GNOME. It is the most popular Ubuntu flavor and it is the default one. But there are other flavors. If we go to the browser and search for Ubuntu flavors, or also in the Ubuntu official site, we can see here that we have many flavors: LUbuntu, Kubuntu, Ubuntu Budgie, Ubuntu Studio, Mate, Killin, and xUbuntu. These flavors have all different aspects. I personally like a lot xUbuntu because of course it doesn't look as polished as Ubuntu, but it has a much better performance. And when I install a virtual machine, I don't install it usually for the looks. I install it for productivity and for performance. That's why in the next lecture we will learn how to change our Ubuntu flavor from GNOME to xUbuntu. So in this lecture we will switch our Ubuntu flavor to xUbuntu. Let's get started. I will start a terminal, and here there's one important command that we must do. I will start with sudo apt-get install xUbuntu -desktop, and very important, you also need this to install all the packages. Provide the password, and now it will install. Click enter. Okay, I have arrived to a dialog, a small dialog. I will click OK here, and here I will select Light DM, not GDM3, the Light DM. Okay, the installation is done. I will close the terminal and restart my machine. And I have arrived to the xUbuntu login screen. This means that I have installed it correctly. I will log in. And this is how xUbuntu looks like. We still have some final steps to do here. Let's first of all make this terminal a little bigger. Alright, we need to also, I would like to remove our Ubuntu desktop installation. So I will say sudo apt-get remove Ubuntu desktop. This is just some cleaning. And also call sudo apt-get auto remove. This will remove Ubuntu GNOME. Alright, we have removed Ubuntu. I will close this terminal, and yes, I don't like at all the taskbar being up. I will move it down. It is very configurable. I will select right click, select properties, panel preferences, and here I will uncheck lock panel, close, and now I can drag it wherever I want. Of course I will drag it down and then I will lock it again. You can even make it vertical, and all kinds of tuning you can do here. You can take your time and learn how this X face looks like and works. But I'm happy in this lecture we switched to xUbuntu, which has a lot better performance than Ubuntu GNOME. So in this lecture, let's install some popular programming languages into our virtual machine. We will start a terminal, and here let's start with Java, and this is the easiest way to install Java I have seen. We can just say Java minus version, and it will say command Java not found, but it can be installed with, and it directly gives us the commands. So I'll just copy and paste the command for Java 11, provide the password, and that's it. We are done. Let's check this. So we can say Java minus version, and this time we see the OpenJDK version 11. That's great. Let's proceed with Python. I will clear this terminal, and this time with Python. Let's go sudo. First we need to update, so we say sudo apt update. We will update what we have. And now we need to add our software properties. Again, maybe I will copy the command since it is faster. These commands will be available as a resource for this lecture. So this now we need software properties common. Let's also do this. And now we need to add our Python repository. I will add the command. It's this repository. Click enter. Enter. And now we can finally install Python 3.7. Let's check this Python version. So we have Python 3.7 minus version, and yes, we have Python 3.7.4. So we successfully also installed Python in our virtual machine. That's great. Let's continue now with Node.js. I will clear our terminal and again update. Maybe I can find it here. And now sudo apt install, and now we will specify Node.js. And as you can see how easy it is to install software on Linux, on Ubuntu, compared to other platforms like Windows. Now we need to install the npm. So I will say sudo apt install npm. It's the Node package manager. And finally we can check this with Node.js -v. And yes, we have version 8.10. That's great. We are able in just 4 minutes to install 3 major programming languages. That's great. In this lecture we will install 3 major IDEs: IntelliJ, VS Code and Eclipse. Let's get started, and like usually we start with a terminal, and let's start by installing IntelliJ IDE, and this is very simple, again just from the terminal. So I will type the command and I will say sudo snap install IntelliJ IDEA, and I want the community version, so I'll say community, and ---- classic, like a classic installation. I will put my password, and the installation took a while, but finally IntelliJ IDEA community is installed. Let's check it. So I will go to the menu and search for IntelliJ IDEA, and it already finds it. I can even add it to desktop. So let's try it. And it works just fine. I can create a new project. And let's see. Yes, and our installation works just fine. Let's proceed to installing VS Code. I will close this and again start a terminal. And this time we will do some similar command. I will say sudo snap install code and ---- classic. Provide the password. This will be much faster than IntelliJ. Alright, it finished. Let's check it. I can just say here code. It already installed the command. And VS Code is starting. That's great. I was able to install VS Code so easy. I can also check it in the start menu, code, and also send it to desktop. And I can use this like a normal desktop. Let's try now to install Eclipse, and for this we will take a different approach. We will download it from its website. I will search for Eclipse download. And go to the download packages and install the Eclipse IDE for Java developers, the Linux one. I will download it and I will open it once it is downloaded. Click OK and wait for it to finish downloading. So it is downloaded. I will extract it and I will just create a folder, call it work, and here I will extract Eclipse. I have the Eclipse installation, and now I can open its icon, the Eclipse launcher, and let's see if it is working. And yes, it is working. I can select a workspace and launch it. And yes, I can see Eclipse, and it works fine, and we are this way ready to write all the code we want with Eclipse Visual Studio Code or IntelliJ on Ubuntu, Linux, xUbuntu, virtual machine. That's great.